Hello, and welcome to something brand new. This is the Bent Chassis podcast from Racing Lines. I'm Martin Southall.
And I'm Oli Meggitt. Now, you may know us. We've both been involved in RC racing for many, many years. We organise some of the biggest races in the UK, and we're also racers as well. But I think it's fair to say we're probably better known for our organising skills than our skills behind the handset.
Yeah, absolutely. We've both been part of the BRCA committee for touring cars, and I also run an indoor club in the UK.
And as many of you might know, I'm also involved in organising events throughout Europe and throughout the rest of the world as well. So what's the Bent Chassis podcast going to be all about then? Well, there's loads of great RC content out there already, from videos, blogs, news stories, things like that. But we realise there's nothing that's solely focused on 1/10 electric on-road racing.
And that's our area of speciality. So why don't we try to bring you our unique take on this part of the RC world? Now, we're not going to be doing this every week, but we'll keep them flowing as much as we can. And we have got the first few shows planned out already, so we're just doing this now to get this launched properly.
And for those of you who are watching the video version of this, you'll probably have worked out that we're sitting here at the ETS in Daun in Germany, one of possibly the biggest RC on-road events there's ever been. So what a fantastic place for us to launch this podcast and film this first episode.
Absolutely. And also don't worry, if you're only on the audio version, the content will be exactly the same. You just don't have to look at us. So
bonus then, yeah.
Bonus all round then, really, isn't it? But anyway, our plan is to link each of the episodes around one of the major events, really. So, you know, we're not just here to read out the results to you. You can find them anywhere. Or tell you who took out who this week. You already know that. You'll have seen the race reports going on. There's plenty out there. And every single driver posting their own race reports and thanking all those great sponsors for their 10% discounts.
Absolutely, yeah. No, what we want to try and do with this is to try and explain the stories you won't have seen in the headlines. Try and find out what the actual gossip is, what's happening away from the track. Where are the cars that are hiding under a towel or a body shell the whole time? Because we see plenty of those at race as well. So we want to try and bring you something a bit different, something that you might not read or hear about in those other outlets.
And obviously, we can't do this alone. So we also plan to bring in special guests throughout these series. Hopefully, some of them, all of them, will be pretty decent, unlike us. And they'll probably we'll have recurring guests as well. And we'll try to draw on their experience and their expertise, what it's like to race at the very front. Maybe there are people at the race that you can share this with, other inside information potentially. Or maybe there are other experienced racers. You spotted things in the coverage or spoken to a teammates event. And let's see how this develops.
Absolutely. So hopefully that explains who we are and what we're trying to do with the Bent Chassis podcast. We hope you're going to like what we do, and if you do, the classic things, please do subscribe to it. Please share it with your friends as well, just to help us get the story out there, get more people interested in RC racing as well. We're going to try and make as much content as we can, but don't worry, we're not intending these to be 4-hour epic episodes, because we've got things to do as well, really. So you don't have to try and find hours and hours to listen to us rambling on about things.
So now then, let's just jump straight into it.
Yep.
Welcome to the Bent Chassis RC podcast. Episode 1, we're here in the ETS Daun. What's the story? Who's bent a chassis this week?
All right, so it is the start of a new calendar year, and typically the end of the year in the New Year's time, we spend our lives on Facebook waiting for those driver announcements that form silly season.
Yes, we do.
But this year, it's been kind of quiet, really, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. I think the biggest one that probably came in the last week was Rasmussen joining Schumacher.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been going really, really well recently.
Has, yeah.
That was pretty new one that came out this week.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting one as well, because Schumacher, obviously with Orlowski, have been really kind of stepping up over the last 3-4 years, basically since COVID, really, in the modified class across Europe. Schumacher, we know, has got a really strong team in the UK. It's always had a big following there as well. But it's never quite had, in my view, it's never had that following and that support at stock level in Europe. And actually, I wonder if Rasmussen joining them is kind of one of those really positive steps forward and trying to really demonstrate it's not just Michael and the guys in mod that wheel in the car well. Yeah,
I think that's a really good point, actually. And it's been quite apparent. Obviously, they had Ollie Payne that did ETS a few years ago.
Yeah.
He was going really, really well. And Orlowski, he's just won best driver of the year. It's hard to really argue with that. He is very, very talented, multi-class, multi-discipline.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he produces. He's like the milkman, always delivers.
Yeah.
And so having Rasmussen in the stock side, I think that's a big mark signing for Schumacher as well, because it needs someone that's pushing the car on at the front. And we haven't seen the stock results as well. We've also got Andy Murray on the race team, the designer of the car as well, world champion.
Yep.
And
World champion Tosco, yeah.
He goes very, very well. He's a busy man.
He is, yeah. You can't
a lot more than focusing. So
yeah, I think he definitely can. And it almost, I don't know, but it sort of feels like he's running stock at the moment because they need to try and get the best results possible. And he feels that he was in the UK sort of back end of the A final in the modified class, and in the European competition, he knows he's not going to be up on the top mix there. So is it better for him to try and promote the car in the stock class? But then, as you say, he's the lead designer for that car, so he can't be spending as much time racing it or be as competitive racing it when he's trying to support the whole team. And ultimately, when you're at a race like this, you're trying to develop the car as well. It's not just, here's our platform, we're going to go and try and drive it. They'll have bits they want to test on the car and stuff, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously both been involved with race teams for a while, but you don't just build a car, you turn up to the race, you put it down, you go, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You've got to try things. Yeah. You've got to develop things. And sometimes you can see a car go around, you think, that's not going very well. But they're trying things. They're always testing something on the car, a new part, even the springs, dampers, just to see how the car behaves and reacts to certain things as well. So the results can tend to go up and down quite a lot, which is difficult, especially if you've got those top racers, because they want a platform that can win straight away. And it's difficult to be. I mean, I don't have that skill, but I've seen plenty of it. Being a driver on the development side of it as well. I mean, if you need crash testing, definitely the man to do that. If you want performance testing, there's plenty of better people.
Find somebody else for that.
Absolutely. It ain't going to be me. Probably not you either.
No. I'm not driving a car to make it onto the podium in the modified class. But one thing I think is worth us sort of picking up on we're talking about Schumacher at the moment. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Michael went to China and did the sort of world's warm-up race just before Christmas time.
Yeah.
And sort of seemed to let it slip there that the car he had was a prototype car. But in terms of the gossip around that part, what it seemed then was the photo posted at the end of the race from him showed the standard MI9 platform next to the trophy.
Yeah, I think we've seen this for years though, haven't we? I've never seen a drive. I mean, no one wants the car seen for starters, so the photos are always secretive. Are they? I mean, they'd be silly not to be working on a car at this point. The MI9 is 18 months old, is a proven platform, so you've got to look to develop. Obviously, X-Ray is super secretive. You never see anything from them until a presentation turns up. I mean, they've been really, really good at that. Others just don't do anything, do they? I mean, like Mugen, there was nothing, and then bang, they dropped a car. And that came out of nowhere. Tamiya, only a couple of days as well. That was half expected. And then, that just appeared by the pictures, but we didn't see that on a track.
No.
So, these guys, we see them develop, X-Ray develop. Probably not Infinity, but they're skipping the carpet season, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think that's something else we can touch on there. So I suppose, the headline news in my looking at it from the silly season wasn't the drivers, was actually in terms of the other side of the fence, the engineering side, and Robert Peach announcing after what it was 16 years with Mugen.
Yeah, big.
He left them, has now landed with Infinity, as we found out a few weeks after that. I think that's a really interesting move, and as the year develops, I think we'll probably end up talking a bit more about stuff like that too. But see, Bruno and his mechanic Francesco only just gone to Infinity about a year ago to kind of reboot their electric platform. So I think it's really interesting now they've taken Robert on in his design role. He's obviously well known as a designer, both for Nitro but also for the electric side, seeing how that plays out. And Infinity skipping the carpet season. They say that's because they're focusing on asphalt. The World's coming up in about 3 months' time. I think it's a really interesting move, that, to be honest. I get the logic behind it. They need the car to work on asphalt. That's what they're focused on. But in my mind, there is nothing quite the same as racecraft and going to an event, doesn't matter whether it's carpet or asphalt, and seeing how you stack up against the best there are. Everybody else is here apart from Infinity. Mark's here, Ronald's here, Michael's here. Those guys are all here racing out at the top of the field. And I sort of wonder that, you can go and do all your private testing, but until you put that car on track against your rivals, you don't really know where you stack up.
And the last time they went out was Bruno won the last ETS in Luxembourg. In September was that? And I was 2 sensational overtakes. I was lucky. I was standing on the banking in front of the first one. Probably one of the best moves I've ever seen. And you pull off a move against any of these guys is sensational at the best of times as well. I'm loath to ever say there's luck. There's very, very rarely luck. I mean, obviously, Olaski had a mechanical problem as well, so we don't know how that would have panned out. He had track position as well. They were going really well. So it could have gone either way. It's obviously good for the Infinity point of view, as their platform was won, because they've been close, hadn't quite got it over the line. So with, like you say, Robert Petch joining them as well, is obviously Francesco's known for his 10th touring car platforms as well. Robert, obviously 10th, because I designed the Mugen, I believe.
Yeah. He's the one behind Mugen.
Is he on the 8th side? So is Robert there to help Infinity? Because they've obviously just done pretty well with that. Their 8th platforms are going very well.
Yeah. They're big massive in the nitro scene. So
is he likely to be more on the side of that, or working with Francesco on the 10th?
I think it'd be really interesting to see how that plays out. And obviously, no hiding, Infinity have got a huge amount of resources behind them as well. So it'd be really interesting. I think it'd be interesting to see how it sort of pushes forward. So,
I've kind of likened this Infinity run back. It's like the second coming, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going back now. I was at the Euros with my son when he was 12, so 6 years ago.
Right.
And Infinity had Reinhard on board then, and big host of names. Turned up, big flash, threw everything at it, and for whatever reason didn't quite work.
The results weren't really there, let's be honest.
They weren't. I mean, the car performance looked good. I remember seeing it, but I think it had a habit of eating itself. Spurs, drivetrain problems and everything like that. And then he just disappeared off the planet. We're very, very quiet on the 10th. Obviously, they've been massive nitro. Been really, really successful. I don't really follow nitro much, which is just as well because there's more than else that's talking about that. But obviously, they come straight back and you obviously decided something's happened there. Maybe was that Bruno was the catalyst. I think he approached anyway, didn't he, Infinity?
Yes.
With a plan for what they want to do with 10th with Francesco. And
it sounds like that's basically the sort of story behind it. I think reading Bruno's interviews when it all came out that he'd been in contact with Kenji, the boss of Infinity, for a long time, and Kenji, when he's at the races, is keen to chat to everybody, and it's not trying to sign people. It's just a friendship that's there, and wants to stay in touch with people. It's like I can sort of see that being Bruno had his time at X-Ray and sort of said, you know what, let's see if we've got a new project. Let's see if there's something different we can do. Came up with the idea, and Kenji kind of jumped on it by the sounds of it. So, it's really interesting to see how that pans out. Bruno's been super fast. Took the first few races getting into it, which you'd expect with a brand new car from scratch, everything kind of from zero. He obviously won the World's warm-up race that wasn't the warm-up race, the one before Christmas. It was the Asia Championships, but everyone called it the warm-up race because that's essentially what it was. And he looked like he had a decent pace over the field then. But then they went back to China last week or the week before. Michael went out there as well it was a sweep race, so it was a much shorter, smaller race. But the two of them, in terms of the results, looked pretty evenly matched on pace then. So I don't know if there's been more development on the Schumacher side of things. And as we said, there was clearly some sort of prototype stuff being run before Christmas. Don't know if that's been refined or he's got his head around things a bit more now. Or, and I'll throw this one out there, did Bruno go, we're quite a decent way ahead of that warm-up race here. We're gonna back this down a little bit for the next few races, just to not show our hand fully.
Does that happen in RC racing?
I think
I've seen it in club where people put a PT just to not show their lap times in practice.
And I think these guys, this is their job. Not just the racers, but the whole teams as well. So everybody wants to win these big races. So what's the advantage they can pull out? Even if it's nothing more than mind games over everybody else, that can have a factor as well. So if you're kind of saying to people, we'll let you catch up a bit, but knowing you've got a bit more. But the risk of that is going, I didn't have that bit more that I thought I had, and I now lost that time because I haven't really been testing because I've been letting them catch up.
It's mind games. It's all just for courses. You switch one way, you swing the other way. But once it comes down to it, once the tone starts, it's what the stopwatch says after the 5 minutes.
Exactly.
The qualifying, and that's always going to be close. I mean, I like very much watching Michael, Bruno, Volker, Reinhard on the track. They're always that close. There's always something can happen.
Absolutely.
And if it's all good, clean, it's always really, really close. But there's always a potential for something to go off. They are. It's their jobs.
Exactly.
Same with I mean, I've got no idea into contracts or anything else. I would imagine there might be performance stuff related in there, bonuses, things like that. So there's more on the line, and us watching, just commenting on it. And I've always been loath to comment too closely on, did he do this? Did he take him out there? Was that a crash intentional? Because I've never driven at that front end. So I'm qualified to offer that opinion on what I believe happened there, because I've never arrived at the back of somebody's car at 60 miles an hour and hit the anchors without hitting them, but then driving 4 inches away from them for 5 laps. 4 inches. I'm 4 inches from the apex, and the car in front mostly. So there's so many elements at play, and you just have to appreciate the talent we have.
Definitely.
Really. You just applaud them at the end. Everyone's got Everyone's got their favourite drivers, or for some whatever reason, because the internet tells them a driver they shouldn't like.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, they're just all reasonable guys. You can go and say, have a chat with them. They'll give you the time of day and give you some help. Yeah.
And I suppose thinking of where we're sitting now here in Daun, we've mentioned obviously that Robert not being here for Mugen. And by the time you watch this, you'll know the results and know whether that's worked out or not. We're filming this in the middle of the day, so we don't know how things are going to play out. But I guess something that sort of is what sort of have I spotted walking around the pits? We mentioned Schumacher, body shell stain on the cars quite a bit there. Doesn't look like there's anything new in terms of the Automatics team at the moment. RC Maker been a little bit secretive. That's got a small team there, so I don't know how much is there. Just trying to try some new stuff out there.
And a new brand on that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Branded to
Innovate.
Innovate.
So that was a. And you know, I've spoken to Ryan a little bit over time behind RC Maker, and I thought it was a really interesting approach, because obviously RC Maker, a well-known brand, doing all their accessories, all their option parts for quite a long time, and then obviously decides he's going to bring out a car and put it under the same brand name as well. And I sort of always wondered whether that was the right step to take, because if you think about, you know, let's use the obvious example of X-Ray and their hoodie lines. You know, it's if you're running an X-Ray car, you're running all the X-Ray parts on it, but you can go and, if you're not running an X-Ray car, having the hoodie tools, having the hoodie parts like that doesn't feel like you're infringing on the brand, sort of thing. Whereas, okay, so now if I'm using RC Maker parts, but they're also making a car, is there a kind of crossover there? So Schumacher do it as well. They've obviously got the Schumacher brand, but then they've got things like Aerox and Core RC as well. So now I think basically what it seems like is Ryan's now launched Innovate as a brand, and that's going to be all the accessories part that used to be under RC Maker, and RC Maker going to kind of focus on the car itself now. So see how that all links up over the next few months, I think.
Interesting car. Yeah. Came out big. A lot of people got into it. Yeah. And then for whatever reason, a lot of people got out of it again as well. I remember looking hands-on with it, but I don't think people a bit fadgy, right? A new thing comes out and they want it. And then after like 3 race meetings, they're not sure what's going on, and then they put the thing away. Yeah. Have they given it a proper crack? I don't think so, because I've seen good results out of the car here. Cars going well,
definitely.
And around the rest of the world as well. So, you know, I think it just needs more time on it, the platform. And it seems to get there. If it keeps on going, it's good to have the competition.
It is, definitely is, So I guess another team probably worth mentioning, the Iris team under the Rude Dog banner as well. They've made some signings recently. UK driver Billy Fletcher sort of joining them as well, being one of sort of moving to their top stock driver position. Seems like that. Again, I think there's some parallels to RC Maker. There was a lot of hype around that car when it launched. A lot of people got that car and then seemed to drift away from it as well. Again, another one of those teams which seems to have a lot of body shells on when you walk around the pit. So believe there's some development stuff going on there as well. I
wouldn't be surprised. They are pitting behind us. To be fair, I spent a bit of time talking to Andreas Mayberg here and at Luxembourg as well. Passionate guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's got quite a background in RC from where he got to where the brand got to as well. Yeah. He know his onions. He's very, very knowledgeable. Materially, he could probably tell you everything about everything that I just wouldn't understand, but he knows what's going on with the car. And like you say, I mean, Billy's come here. He's going pretty well. So obviously the results will be done by the time we're done here. But started off well. The cars looked good all weekend. It's got faster and faster over the weekend. So I think there's probably something new in the pipeline there, because I don't see the leap in performance from just driving the same cars. So more talent.
As the guys in the UK know, the Jake always make now. Maybe they've actually got the right number of belts in the car finally. That might help.
Yeah, we'll maybe. I haven't seen one with one yet, but there was one many moons ago, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. Yeah.
And then there was the other one that had 2 spur gears as well, wasn't it?
For the Gizmo car.
The Gizmo, that was it.
Yeah.
That did EWS International.
We had Martin Lissau and some of the guys from Denmark that was their sort of, I don't know if that was their brand or how that was all linked together, but they were kind of running that. So
it's been mixed.
Yeah, it's not around now, certainly. So yeah.
A lot of talent in the designers. A lot of talent.
There is. And talking of which, team we haven't really mentioned is X-Ray. Probably one of the biggest teams out there. Yes. And actually, in terms of the reason for linking that is they've made a sort of a signing over the winter time as well with Adam Issei actually moving to Slovakia to go and work for X-Ray and take on the design kind of role there.
He's a talent, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Not just on the track. I think last year he was podium in 3 classes.
Yep.
He did stock, modified, and front-wheel drive.
Yeah.
He was also on the slightly larger scale. He did the
did GT8. Yeah, I think it was a European champion for the electric.
European champion first time out of the gate. But you know, we're investing in young talent, young designers as well. Obviously, Martin's been the forefront of everything there for a very, very long time. And
I think it's really interesting because obviously, you know, Martin's dad, Uri, built up that company from zero over the last 40 years, realistically. So since they kind of started doing stuff there, the whole family really involved in it. And I think what's interesting for me is that it's always been whilst it's been a big team, that top layer of those, you know, it has been the Hoodie family doing the design work and really kind of stay involved in that. But they've now started to sort of branch out with Martin Bayer sort of going there to look at a lot of the off-road stuff, and now Adam looking at what seems to be some of the on-road stuff. And we're really interested to see what his role actually ends up being. Is this that, you know, X-Ray have got, 16 or 17 different platforms of car?
That's mad.
Can 2 designers really manage all of those with just Uri and Martin working on them?
And they get them out every year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very much their ethos as well, to refresh that. So is it actually just try and take some of that workload off of Martin and, you know, let him focus on maybe a smaller number of the class, and Adam sort of picks up the bit more of the development in some of the other areas maybe?
I wonder if it's sometimes easier or harder because they do develop so many platforms, but how they develop the platforms, because everything's done in-house.
Yep.
You know, we've both been there, we've seen the factory, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And I've live in action, and one of the best things I think I saw, we was there, Euros. They were working on a car at the time.
Yep.
I remember Jan Rafalski wasn't happy with something, and 2 hours later on, there's a new motor mount that's been made and bought out and bolted on the car. And that's happening in real time.
Yeah.
You know, that's incredible. So the rate of pace for that development is probably aided by the fact that everything's done in-house.
Yes.
The machine.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some they don't. I couldn't comment either way, but for the majority of things, seems like, you know, everything's injection molded, built, cut, pasted, whatever you want to call it there, melted down, turned out, CNC milled, and then products appear really quickly. So maybe that does work in their favour as well, to do the cars quickly.
I think it really does.
As well.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you know, when you look at their factory compared to the facilities you might see of other manufacturers around the world, you know, X-Ray are streets ahead. You know, it's almost comparing Formula 1 to Formula 3 sometimes when you look at the facilities and what they have on hand, and the fact they've got that with their test track next to you. So, you know, you design a part in the morning, you can run it in the afternoon.
Oh, it's madness. It's absolutely incredible. But it's good that, again, they're investing in the youth.
Yes.
So we will get to youth races at some point in time. There's youth talent behind the scenes building this stuff as well. Flipping back to Schumacher, from what we say, no, so Andy's been the on-road and Trish the off-road side. But then their big appointments recently, Matthew Dambreen, on-road, Ben Smith on the off-road side, and Dan Robbins has been there for a while as well. All young, talented people from the UK that are working there as well. So it's not just on the track, it's off the track as well. And you've got guys that are fast racers as well. They're actually working on these things and developing them and building their education and their future in the hobby as well. So there's so much positivity coming at the moment, despite what Facebook will tell you and how much negativity there is. But I don't think RC's been more exciting than it is right now.
No, I think we can probably dedicate at some point in time a whole episode to looking at what's, you know, making RC into more than just a hobby for people, which is obviously what those guys are doing. And there's so many different roads now that are opening up in that space. But I think it's really cool that, you know, those opportunities exist there. You know, they obviously did exist technically when I was that age 20 years ago, but they weren't really accessible in the way they are now. And, you know, as RC's growing and people are prepared, the companies, to invest in development a lot more, you know, that also means investing in the people, as you said. And it's great to see the younger talent being brought on by all those different companies around the world, I think.
Yeah, and if we don't bring them on, then it's just left to the old farts, just doing the same, regurgitating the same things over and over again. And we are innovating quickly. I mean, we've only a few years ago, we've gone from hinge pin suspension to pillow balls now, and own carbon wishbones pretty much on absolutely everything. And before that, you know, we've gone from, you know, mid motor mount cars before, we were on rear motor mount cars, much higher shocks, different COGs, different materials. And that's coming with not just the innovations, but that's coming with younger people with new ideas, new philosophies, helping to push these kind of things out into the marketplace. And we benefit because I don't think you see as many cars broken as we used to many a moon ago. Now, don't get me wrong, they break.
Yeah.
They're precision machines. They're not designed to arrive at a wall. Go back to earlier the durability testing.
Yeah. Yep.
But they seem to withstand that better than they used to. I mean, I've seen some cars hit trunking and they literally move the trunking before they break the car.
Yeah.
15 years ago, that was curtains off a glance. So everything's moving in the right direction.
And I think some of the younger talent being involved in that is helping with that, because you see the developments in things like 3D printing and CAD design, and
I love it.
This is going to make me sound really old now, but people growing up nowadays with iPads in their hands, people much younger than us can produce a podcast way quicker than we can.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll get there slowly.
Yep.
But we'll get there, stumbling and kicking across the line, I'm sure. I'm excited. I'm excited for what we've got going on at the moment. I enjoy being at races. I enjoy the events. I enjoy driving as much as I used to, because I know my place. When
yeah.
But what we get to see out there is you get to watch all this take place.
No, absolutely, yeah.
And
that's really cool.
I mean, obviously we're predominantly UK based, and I think for the UK we're pretty lucky.
Yes,
we've got some talent. We don't just turn up to a race meeting and it's like you just know who's going to win, and it's going to be boring, it's going to be easy, because you look around some places and they just turn up to a race meeting and they've won.
Yep.
We don't know that in the UK, and specifically in our modified class.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. EWS example, where are we 3 rounds in?
Yeah, so Elliot, Kyle, Alex, Elliot Harper, Kyle Branson, Alex Thurston, all looking really fast with one win each out of 3 rounds. It's been a different order of the podiums. Ollie Jeffries has mixed it in there as well. Harley Eldridge at the last round. Yeah. And that's the sort of top 5. But then, even now looking at the guys fighting for the A final place is not just to fight to get into the A final, but it's this people that place means sort of 5th place kind of being up for grabs, and you've got so many names that are capable. You mentioned Matthew Dambreen, Dan Robbins. They're racing at most of our events as well. They're sort of trying to put themselves in the mix as well.
Well developing cars.
Yeah, exactly. It's really exciting. I think definitely we need to pencil in at some point one of these episodes to really just talk about the youth and what we're seeing in that development space. I think, as you say, it's really easy to say, there's not much is happening in RC, there's no future to it, but that's definitely not what I'm seeing.
No, I agree with you. And that even was, we used to talk about this a lot on when I was on the BRCA.
Yeah,
I'm trying to forget about that.
Yeah.
Oh, to be fair, it wasn't all that bad.
No.
A lot of the time, there's a lot of good people doing good things.
Yeah.
And the internet's a horrible, horrible place to be when things aren't going well, because what goes on behind the scenes isn't what people perceive what's happening out in front. But the point I'm trying to make, without disappearing too far off into all this here, is we discussed youth, and I remember a couple of years ago and doing the statistics for the youth for what we had in the UK, and I think out of 110 national level racers, we was looking at the youth, which is pretty much anything under 25.
Yeah.
People say, we haven't got enough youth, and they're looking like 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
You can see a lot of 10-year-olds, but there are a lot there. And we was running like 20% of our drivers, 25% is under 25.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
So that just keep on coming in, and there's a steady production line of drivers. So on road, we aren't in a bad place.
Yeah.
I see clubs up and down the country full of young drivers as well. We're not in a bad place.
No.
The statistics are out there if you want to go and find them, or you could just read someone on Facebook saying there isn't enough youth out there. So that must be verbatim. That's the truth of it now.
Yeah.
It isn't. Do some fact checking.
Yeah. And I think linking it back to the race here we got in Daun, obviously the big thing for things like ETS races is the media coverage that can be produced well. We've got the live streaming going on from RCTV. You've got the race reports from Patrick and kind of that. Plus, on top of that, everybody posting a social media post pretty much every day as to how they're getting on as well. And I think it gives a very different lens. And I suppose that's the thing that I want to use, I hope we use this podcast for, is to tell people that it's not, that sort of snapshot that you get through all of that stuff is still only one perspective of it. And if you're not able to come to some of these races like we are today, or you have to go to those ones, how do you try and understand what's really going on? Because I know, often you see, talk about the UK guys, I think, as well, then, that lots of them come to one of these races for the first time and they're sort of just blown away by how different it is in person to what they've read about online.
And how difficult it is.
And how difficult, yeah.
I always say this is my 4th ETS now. 3 of them here.
Yep.
And I think we're doing Austria as well. And I've always liked to do, you need experience.
Yep.
You can't just turn up and put a car down, despite having all the team, all the friends, family, and lots of Facebook support behind you, and just get on with it and be at the front. It's just not doable. I've never seen anyone do it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you need experience. You've got to be here. You've got to pay your dues. You've got to work your way through and work out what's working, what isn't working, how do you get the tyres working. Go with a track, because what we don't see in the UK on any of our tracks is how quick, because you're 3 hours between a run on a good day.
Yeah.
And the change in a track there for us in the UK is like what we did in practice to just rock it out in Q3. And we know in the UK that we need to adjust as the track goes on and we get better at that. But when you come here, it always feels like previously we always end up a step behind where the racetrack is now. Yeah. And then we go out for that, but we're too far behind. We need to be planning further ahead. Yeah. And experience from the UK guys just being out here. There's more and more come every year. Yeah. I think they get better every year here as well. So, but the Europeans, I still feel have an advantage because of the carpets and the additive, and they seem to be able to get away with testing more on it and more familiar with it. But that's on us to do better. Yeah. It's not, you can sit back and complain and say they've got this advantage or that advantage, or you get off your backside and do something about it and build these tools for yourself. Yeah. Go out and test. There are ways to do it.
Yep, there definitely are. And I think the thing then that also helps you sort of group them together, it's easy to group together the Europeans, is that actually, you know what, they're coming to these races, they're coming to all the ETS races, 5 races a year. This is a normal sort of, event for them.
Especially nationals, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah. As opposed to, a lot of UK drivers who will make, I'm going to go and do one of these events in a season. And you know what? You're not going to be able to compete on that level by doing that, because you weren't at the last race where people figured out, here's how I need to adapt things differently. We're gonna take a different approach when we do seeding now, because we realise that we need to treat the tyres differently. Do we need to have new tyres, used tyres, whatever, things like that? Or okay, now I know. Right, we did the last race. I remember how the carpet evolved at that one over 4 days, because you don't get that experience in the UK. We don't have any 4-day races with 500 people. So the guys will take from this and apply a lot of that when we go to Vienna in a couple of months' time. And if you haven't been here and you just turn up at Vienna, you're not going to have this experience of knowing this is what happened. Okay, it's not going to happen in exactly the same way, but at least, with drivers and with teams and stuff, they're able to go, this is what we did here to try and adapt to it. It seems like it's going the same direction, but maybe it's a bit slower, a bit faster than it was there. So we've got something to start from, as opposed to, well, I'm used to a one day race in the UK where we go, as you say, through 5 rounds, 6 rounds in a day, and I see how the track evolves each time. You get that's between 2 runs here.
Yeah, it is quite a setup.
It is, yeah.
It is. I think it's fantastic. I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, indoor racing, UK, we have a lot of good indoor racing.
We do.
Obviously, we've got our own series.
We're a little bit of vested interest in saying that, but
there is a bias to that as well. But there are other good indoor series as well, because ours are both in the south. Yep. There's others around the country as well, and they all do a fantastic job. We got a lot of talent. There's a lot of volunteers. Yeah, exactly. We've talked about this before as well. I've been vocal at times about I get narked at people that want to sit there on the keyboard and just talk about it, and there's very little mental regard paid for the amount of people that put the effort in and put the events on.
Agreed.
And carpet racing's tough indoors because we don't have somewhere you just rock up and go and race.
No, we've got no permanent venues left to have now. So
we turn up, we roll it out, we build a race track and we put it out. But that only happens by all the volunteers that are doing it. So you've got 3-4 guys that put everything out. Yep. And then you've got someone on the internet saying, "Oh, this was no good today," or "Oh, I didn't like that." Blah blah blah. I can guarantee you they didn't do anything to help that day.
No. Yeah.
With the event, or offer to assist with putting anything away or taking it down. But carpet racing is difficult, and we've got so many different carpets, different surfaces. Tyres and additive seems to be pretty settled, depending on what region you're in, I think. Yeah, and it helps as people travel around. But every surface is different. It is, and regardless of having the same carpet, what's underneath it? Yeah, that makes a massive difference. Yeah. And again, stuff here and down, we've got this carpet underneath it, the carpet tennis courts here, and everyone knows this then drives very differently to everywhere else. You go to rug races, your series, where you've got a really flat, solid floor to race on, which is really, really good. And the carpet floats as well. Yep, so that sits on there. That will move, And then you look at EWS, where we've got a really abrasive floor. It's really difficult for us to move the carpets around, and the floor isn't very flat as well. So that builds the bumps into it, and that's what
different events get known for those different things, and what works at one of those isn't going to work at somewhere else necessarily, because you can have exactly the same carpet. You know, the carpet we got for EWS this year has come from the same batch. You know, this came through Tony Sport. He ordered in a huge batch of carpet, put some rolls aside for ETS here in Daun, put some rolls aside for Vienna. Some rolls we've got from that. Some have gone to other clubs and things across Europe as well. So we've got exactly the same carpet that we're racing on here in Daun, but it feels totally different because you've got a different floor and a different way of running the track layout as well.
Yeah, it all seems to be somewhat of a myth, though, right? Because the carpet comes from the same place in Holland, right?
Yep.
And wherever your supplier is, and someone goes, I bought something from the UK, then it's not the right carpet.
Yeah.
And as soon as that thing goes down, everything's different. What never ceases to amaze me is people turn up and they go and race. So we turn up to an event for the first time on this new carpet, and you put something, and something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's different to what you did the year before. But by the time we're at the end of qualifying, the order's pretty much still the same.
Yep.
Everyone works out quickly. I remember from our first new car, when we put the high grip ETS a couple of years ago, that was rolled down, and I was terrified because everyone was turning in on the club day and they're barrel rolling off the racetrack. The axles are digging in, the carpet's taking damage. And I was worried because the only thing that's ever scared me over time racing is whenever you buy a new carpet.
Yep.
Because if it goes wrong, you're dead in the water. You can kill yourself.
Well, because it's a huge investment for any club or event to make. You know, it's thousands and thousands of euros or pounds to put a new set of carpet in anywhere.
It literally is, but they work it out. So after round one, most people have got to it, and then obviously we came to EWS this year. New carpet, new additive, straight down, and then the car's a little oversteering, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
But then straight away people get on it, and then by the end of the day you look down the order list and it's the same drivers.
Yep.
It doesn't happen by accident.
No.
And it's not like they're going, I've got all this experience of all these different surfaces. They see a problem, they analyse what to do about the problem, and then they enact it. They don't get it right straight away.
Yep.
But generally as the day goes on, they're right. And then by the time you get to the qualified, the pecking order hasn't really changed. Talent, always supersedes everything else, regardless of people hasn't got the right this, that, or the other in the car. Yeah, it's the person driving.
And that's regardless, I think, whether it's raw driving talent or the technical talent. And let's be honest, there's definitely some people have got more of one than the other one.
Yeah.
Some people are definitely, have got the absolute skill to just drive a car, regardless of how good or bad it is. And some people get their results by putting in a lot of effort and technically need to be very good because they know their driving isn't at the same level as some of the others.
Yeah, it's like everything you learn, though, right? If you drive, the more you drive, the better you are.
Yeah.
I like to think that. There's some I could probably think that isn't naturally the case. But if you go out and you spend the entire day racing, you will improve. Yeah. If you do it 5 days a week, you will improve.
Yeah.
But if you just drive, you'll only improve your driving.
Yeah.
If you don't sit in the pits and you work on the car, what does this do? What I do? Try stuff, fix stuff.
Yeah.
Then you're just a driver. Yeah. And the best drivers are good mechanics as well, despite what some people may think. Yeah. However, there are obviously some very good drivers that have a very good mechanic sitting beside them as well. Yeah. And when you pair them up, they go really, really well. And there's probably many a good driver, a talented driver out there who's got a terribly set up car. They don't know what to do. But you fall through the cracks, maybe not, because no one's going to come along and offer to be your mechanic. You just have to work hard. Yeah. Really. Yeah, it's a hobby, but it depends on what you're in the hobby for. So, I like to problem solve. Really, if there's something that's not right, I want to work out how to improve that. And if something's not working on a car, I want to improve that.
I think it's the same. People often say about things like Formula One. At the end of the day, the best driver does end up with one of the best cars.
Yeah.
And if you've got the talent, but you haven't got the technical capability, maybe the teams are going to spot that, or someone else is going to spot that and offer that bit of help, get you on the right track, and then you can build your knowledge. If you're willing to build your knowledge as well, then that always comes of it. Yeah. And then that gives the opportunity to take those next further steps as well. Yeah. And we've seen that things like ETS races over time as well. Someone like Michael Olowski, actually. I've known him for 20-something years now, been at races, and he started off, as a youngster. You weren't sure where he certainly didn't have any technical ability. His dad was working on his car, things like that. Clearly had some driving talent, but you're never sure exactly what it was. And over time, you saw both of those things really developing to the point now where he's, contending for world championships. So it can happen.
He's had a fair share of mechanics with him as well.
He has, yeah.
Obviously, he's got Andy and Dan or Matt with him a lot of the time as well now. But.
And that sort of, when we are talking about trying to win a World Championships, you need to have that support piece around you.
Ronald's always had mechanics with him.
Yep.
Bruno's always had mechanics with him.
Yep.
Michael clearly has. What about Reinhardt?
So he had mechanic with Tamiya. He had help when he was with Infinity. When he was with Automatics, I mean, he hasn't got a mechanic per se, but he's got like people like Max and Tim that are part of the team. So it's okay, you've not got your named mechanic sitting there, but that's how it kind of works out. So I think that's a kind of good place probably to end this first episode. We haven't rambled on too much, I hope then. Hopefully that's been interesting for people and kind of fun as well.
Well, we'll find out what we do talking.
Yeah, absolutely. So we said we weren't going to do this weekly, but actually I think we are going to do another one next week with a focus on the Snowbirds race in Florida in the USA. Sadly, we haven't got enough budget to go out to Florida like we have done for this one.
No, got a couple of euros left because the food's cheaper.
Yeah,
so we're going to get us there.
So I suppose we'll have to do that from our exotic studios somewhere in the UK then.
Most likely from Essex and Hertfordshire houses.
Yeah. So we'll no doubt find something to gossip about from the Snowbirds race, and also I think talk about the US racing scene as well. Because obviously we focused a lot on Europe so far today. So let's talk about the US racing scene and link then to what we see from the Snowbirds, one of the biggest carpet races stateside.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's on the bucket list.
It is, yeah. Well, I think that's probably all our stuff from today then, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully you've enjoyed everything. I've been Oli Meggitt.
I've been Martin Southall.
And we've been the Bent Chassis Podcast. Join us next time to find out who's bent a chassis next week.
Fast laps, clean lines, that's how we go. Thanks for tuning in to the Bent Chassis on Road Podcast Show.